Again, Judge Jamel Brown will be the one that moderates tonight's live performance of the dramatic interpretation final round at the NIETOC. But one final reminder Tab Room wanted me to pass along, specifically to competitors, make sure you are muted after you are done performing, so that way the computer screen doesn't jump over to you when someone else is performing, because it'll pick up on your audio. And with that, our final judge has joined us. Judge Brown, the show is yours.
Good evening, and congratulations to everyone who has made it to the final round of the NIETOC's dramatic interpretation final round. Congratulations. I am Jamel Brown, and I am your chair for this final round. I am a coach at Sumner Academy of Arts and Science in Kansas City, Kansas. I am going to allow all of our judges to go around and introduce themselves. So we can start with, I'm just looking at who I see. I see Judge Robert. You're right under me. So if you would please introduce yourself. Thank you. We just go around and introduce ourselves, or Rachel, Judge Rachel, if you want to introduce and tell everyone who you are, please.
I was thinking that you were referring to me, but I was like, my name is definitely not Robert. Okay, sure. I competed in speech and debate throughout my time in high school. I am 3 or 4 years graduated from college, so I graduated from high school in 2014. But I'm most proud of helping, despite being a state champion in Florida and competing nationally, I'm most proud of helping coach my brother. He was the national champion in 2016 of humorous interpretation. And I'm excited to be here.
We'll just keep it moving. So the next judge who wants to jump in there and give their introduction, that would be great. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Clement Algo Tohile. I competed and judge and coach in Houston, Texas. Congratulations to all finalists.
I'm Chris Carlisle, assistant coach at Valley View Idaho High School in Caldwell, Idaho. Congratulations to everybody. I have 4 years experience judging, and I am sure excited to see all of your performances.
I am Ken Odrobanek. I am a former competitor turned judge turned coach and now I'm assistant coach at Munster High School out of Indiana.
Hi, I'm Richard Yantz, the head. Am I muted? Okay. I'm Richard Yantz. I'm the head coach at Jackson Preparatory School in Jackson, Mississippi. I'm very glad to be here, and congratulations to every one of the speakers who has made it to finals at NIETOC, an all-star tournament to beat all-star tournaments.
Hello, my name is Carrie Hogue. I'm at Elmwood Murdoch Public Schools in Nebraska, and I am the head coach of the drama and speech team, also former competitor and also a judge. I am excited for this round. Good luck to everyone. Thank you. I'm looking forward to your stories.
Thank you to all of our judges. So if we are ready, we will begin. And just a reminder to everyone in the room, if we will please make sure we are muted when we see our performers. So our first speaker is code 70B, performing Warriors Don't Cry.
Mama always said that time brings about change. Today at 7 to 9, I realized she was so right. I'm alive and well, and my head is filled with event photos. Some events I thought would be my undoing. But when I first heard Mama's wisdom, I was 15 years old, frightened and caught up in the middle of a political firestorm over racial integration. 8 other teenagers and I stood at the center of a tug of war between Arkansas's governor, the US government, and the angry white mobs intent on halting integration in Little Rock, Arkansas. Former President Barack Obama once said, "Change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. We are what we've been waiting for. We are the change that we seek." Now more than ever, it is important to look back on history to see how far we've come and how far we still have to go in the fight for equality and justice. In 1957, Melba, a member of the Little Rock Nine, made a substantial contribution in history when she integrated schools in Little Rock, Arkansas. Through her determination, dedication, and sacrifice, she realizes she possesses true power when she becomes conscious of it and unites to create a change. Warriors Don't Cry by Melba Patillo Bills. How could I forget May 17, 1954, the day the Supreme Court ruled in Brown versus the Board of Education? My teacher asked if anybody who lived within the Central High School District wanted to attend school with white people. I raised my hand. I planned to beg Uncle Clancy to let me live with him to finish high school. I thought I had a pretty good chance of having things go my way. Until one evening, we sat watching national news. Grandma stood up and walked over to the television set, signaling us to be quiet. All ears perked up when the announcer started to talk about Little Rock. He said that 17 children from my community had been selected to attend the all-white Central High School. When they said my name, everyone looked at me as though I had lied or sassed Grandma. When had I planned on telling them? Why did I sign my name on that paper? Did I consider the danger I might put my family in? Suddenly, my joy and freedom ended. I was living with one concern, preparing to take part in the integration of Central High School. I had to fight. I had to. At one point, there had been 16 others, but some chose not to integrate because of the threats of violence. In the end, there were 9 of us. Ernest, the only senior, Terrence, Jefferson, Minnie Jean, Gloria, Thelma, Carlotta, Elizabeth, and me. We were all friends, but we became a family. It's happening today. Mama drove me. We had practiced this drive for weeks for safety. We parked, exited the car, and made our way towards Central. In the distance, large crowds of white people were lining the curb directly in front of Central High. Old people, young people, uniformed armed officers. They were chanting. And as we drew near, the chants became more clear. Niggas go home. Niggas go back to where you belong. I searched for something to hang on to, something familiar that would comfort me or make sense, but there was nothing. 2, 4, 6, 8, we ain't gonna integrate. Over and over, the words ring out. My mother and I looked at each other, suddenly conscious that we're being trapped by a violent mob. We eased our way back towards the crowd. A white man grabbed me, calling at me, saying, "We got us one right here." I managed to get away, but he started chasing us. My mother told me to get to the car and leave without her if I had to, but I told her that I wouldn't leave without her. I told her that I wouldn't leave without her. But those men were getting closer. So I grabbed the keys and I ran as fast as I could. The men that were chasing us would join my other men with ropes. Said, we're gonna hang those niggas. I could see Mama turn a corner, barely able to keep ahead of her attackers. I shoved the car again, and I drove as fast as I could. But I couldn't stop the rush of tears. Mom and I made it, but barely. Weeks had passed. President Eisenhower sent over the Screaming Eagle Division as our personal escorts. And October 25th, we'd go back to Central. And the hell began. I was spat on, choked, glad at, called a nigger on the daily by students and teachers. Kicked in the shins so hard, I fell on the floor. Hot soap was poured on me. A flaming hot stick of dynamite was thrown at me. My mother lost her job. They offered to let her keep it if she took me out of Central, but she refused. To keep my focus, I said the Lord's Prayer. I thank God for saving me. God and Danny, my personal escort. We each had one. Ernie was set to graduate that year. And with 4,500 looking on, Ernie became the first of our class to graduate from Central. We really did it. It really happened. We made it. October 23rd, 1987. It's the first time in 30 years that all of these Black alumni have entered this school together. Reporters shouting out questions. But suddenly those questions stop. And those huge Black doors are in front of me. And just in that instant, I'm that frightened, scared 15-year-old, terrified of what awaits me behind those doors. Who will be the first to kick me, slap me, call me a nigger? But to my surprise, those huge Black doors swing open and a Black teenager emerges and bows slightly as we approach. Derek Noble, president of the student body. And he welcomed us to Central High School. Thank you.
Thank you. That time was 9:43. Judges, are we ready for our next speaker? Our second speaker is code 186B, performing Lady Day at Emerson's Bar and Grill.
I'm sorry, can you see me? No? Okay.
Have you shared your camera?
It's not working.
Try turning it off and turning it on, or doesn't it? Try again.
I think we can move to our next speaker and come back to give you an opportunity to get your computer adjusted.
Thank you.
Yes, of course, of course. We are actually moving to a different speaker. We're going out of order because of a double entry. So we're actually moving down to speaker 184E, performing Forever Changed.
Can you guys see and hear me all right? You always hear people say, life is short. But now when I hear it, I hear it differently than before. Now, Steve and I knew Blake was special from the first day he was born. He was so chubby with this little bit of peach-colored fuzz for hair. I mean, you have never seen a family so excited over the birth of a child. But Blake really was just such a good baby. I know people only think that I say that about him now because he's gone, but he really was so good. As were all the other kids in the daycare center. On April 19th, 1995, the Oklahoma City Murrah building was bombed by two men with no intent other than to kill. This event was the largest domestic terrorist attack that our country has ever seen. But through the chaos, there was hope to be found. Laura, mother of Blake Kennedy, relives the murder of her 18-month-old son in search of strength. And with the sight of this disaster being less than 15 minutes away from my own home, it is a constant reminder that sometimes it's okay to not be strong. It's okay to just survive. Forever Changed by Marcia Knight. Well,
We put Blake in that daycare center because it was a 2-hour drive to and from work each day. And it allowed us to spend time with him. I worked at the Merle building so I could be with Blake whenever he needed me. People used to always needle us about being together, but we were ecstatic. Blake was just getting old enough to go down the slide at the daycare center. And the Friday before the bombing, I got to watch him go down that slide for the first time. Blake just loved daycare. And it's hard now because I feel like I shouldn't have had him there. But I remember everything about that day. April 19th, 1995. It started just like every other workday. Blake's room was just across the hall from ours, and I was lying in bed listening for him. Very rarely did he cry. Instead, I would go in there and I would find him dancing to his Rocking with Barney tape. And we'd just sing this Barney song. That morning, everything was making me late. It was as if God was telling me not to go in there that day. But I did. And so did Blake. We were running 15 minutes later than usual, so it was 9 when I signed in. Blake looked up at me and he said, "I love you, Mommy." Little did I know that would be the last time I saw my son. I never heard a boom, only a rush of air. And then the lights went out. People were running into the stairwell, bleeding. Blake! Baby! Someone had tried to pull me up with them. Don't touch me! Blake! Baby! Workers had started bringing a few children out. Excuse me, have you seen my son? He's wearing a red pullover and jeans, red pullover and jeans. And I just kept screaming, "Excuse me, have you seen my baby?" Blake! No, come on, wake up. Just wake up. He needs to go to a hospital. He's not responding. God, come on. You cannot take him with me here, God. You cannot take him with me here. every time I close my eyes, I see this beautiful baby boy desperately trying to breathe. No, that was me willing you to breathe. There was no air for you, only a hole blown through where your lungs should have been. And I asked myself, where were you? Why am I still here? People see these survivors doing things and they think that they're so strong. They're not strong. They've just somehow managed to make it. They're just trying to survive. I'm just trying to survive. It's a painful journey. We have to walk every day now that our lives have been forever changed.
And then may I be excused for my other entry?
Of course, thank you.
Thank you.
Judges, I have 9:59. I am checking back in, but
Judge Chair, before you go on,
yes,
we may need to contact Tab. Do we have a competitor in the room right now?
we have all the competitors in the room.
Uh,
Do you want
the-
to put something in the chat, like do a direct chat? There
yeah,
is a
let me,
Tab rep in here if you want to direct
let's
message
see.
the person in
Let's
the
see if I
chat.
can figure that out on this, because we haven't been using this format all day. I'll tell you what, I'll talk with Tab about it later. How about that? And not to have thrown everybody off. That sounded a lot more ominous than intended.
Okay.
I'll get with Tab later.
Okay,
So-
but there is a Tab rep in the room if you wanted to do a direct.
Yeah, but I can't figure out where to do
okay.
that.
You
Okay, here we
see-
go.
if
Who's the
you-
Tab person?
If you look at, if you go into the chat, there's a little blue
I see
rectangle.
Tab.
It says everyone. Yeah, if you click tab, it should private, and it'll show up as privately in parentheses.
It does not say privately.
If you click on the tab,
Yeah, it's not giving me that option. That's what I was worried about earlier. It wasn't giving me things I'm used to seeing.
I think we'll keep the round going and we'll get that worked out for you. Is that okay?
Yeah, I'll talk with Tab later.
Okay.
Okay. And
Thank you.
competitors, please don't let that throw you off. There's not a problem on your end whatsoever, competitors.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, speaker 186B. We're going to go back to that speaker. Lady Day at Emerson's Bar and Grill.
Sorry about the technical difficulties.
No worries at all.
See you hear me all right? All right. Whenever you guys are ready.
I can see her, but I can hear her, but I cannot see her.
I can see her. Judges, are you not able to see her? I see her just fine. Do
Hey.
you not have your view? Maybe if you go to the top right
Yeah.
corner, speaker.
We are also live streaming the call. So if you go to nietoc.com, you could just watch the live stream of her performance.
Here she comes. Here she comes. She popped in. Don't know why. Got it. Sorry. I'm causing a lot of trouble. Sorry about that.
We're all good to go. Everyone can see and hear each other. Amazing.
Thank you so much. I love you. Love it. Makes me feel good. I'm even glad to be back in Philly. And that's something for me. You know that. Philly's been the rat's ass for me. Shit, I used to tell everybody, when I die, I don't care if I go to heaven or hell, as long as it ain't Philly. But I love singing here at Emerson's bar again. It's great. I love to sing. Critically acclaimed African-American blues jazz artist Billie Holiday performed from the 1930s to 50s. Known as Lady Day, she overcame adversity in an incredibly racist industry and claimed her spot as one of the best jazz artists of all time. In this piece, we witness the spiraling of a raw heroin-induced Billie and learn what she was compelled to do for self-respect and for love. This is Lady Day at Emerson's Bar and Grill by Lenny Robertson. Oh, I want to introduce my accompanist, Mr. Jimmy Powers at piano. See, a singer's accompanist is home. Jimmy here is so important to me. He's my main man, ain't you, Jimmy? He's shy. We've been together a long time. This week's our anniversary. 5 damn months. He takes care of me, fixes things for me so they're okay when they get so bad. He keeps me in line and sees I sing all the numbers I'm supposed to. I'm not supposed to tell it, but Jimmy and me, we's going to get married as soon as my next divorce comes through. And with Jimmy, but he don't want me telling nobody. See, all I ever wanted was a beautiful home and some kids, even just the kids. I love kids, and I never had any. If only I could have had me some kids, I never would have got into no trouble. I'm sure of it. It's what I used to tell Sonny. Sonny Monroe, my first love. He wasn't my best, but he was my first. He was the worst one I ever had too. We was married, see, but he didn't want no kids. Crazy he called me. But I know who I am now because of who I was then. I know nobody's better than anybody. Unless you're colored, then you're better than everybody. No, I'm kidding. I know a nice white person once. No, they're just like us. Only mean. Oh, I'm kidding. Listen, honey, we all put our drawers on the same way, one leg at a time. Nobody's better than anybody else unless you think they are. I've been through all of that. Like the times I was singing with Artie's band, Artie's shy, and we toured, see. We started out in Boston, and it was all downhill from there. So you can imagine when we got down to Virginia, North and South Carolina, Georgia. And so this one place we went in, we was all sitting in the kitchen with all the colored help running around us trying to do their job. We was all paying top price for this, just like we was sitting out front. So everything was smooth as silk until I realized I had to use the bathroom in the worst way. I mean, my kidneys was almost to bust. So I got up and asked this black dude where was the bathroom. And while I was trying to explain to him that I didn't need to go there to powder my nose, when this blonde bitch comes into the kitchen from the dining room. Now, she was the maitresse who wouldn't let me in the dining room to begin with. So she signs us up real big and says, "Just what exactly seems to be the trouble here?" And I look at her like, where'd she come from? She says, "Oh, I'm sorry, Miss Day. We don't have toilets for the colored." And I said, "Listen, honey, you have me confused. I'm Billie Holiday. Also, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings or nothing, but everybody I see working here, except you, is about as colored as they come. Now, where do they go?" So she shifts her weight around slow and tells me, "We didn't want you coming in our restaurant to start with. We don't allow colored here. We only let you in because Mr. Shaw agreed to pay twice as much for all of you. Mr. Shaw said nothing about letting you use the toilet, and I will not let you do that." So I said, "What do you propose I do about this situation?" And she said, "Why don't you sit on it?" Oh, I was so shocked. I just looked at her a minute and said, "No, I think I'll let you do that." And I cut loose. The biggest deluge all across those sequin covered shoes of hers to come down the pipe since Noah. You never seen a grown woman leap so high up in the air as she did in your life, dropping menus and screeching. And that, I can assure you, was a high and low of the whole tour for me. It's bad again. Real bad. Don't pull that phony doctor shit, Sonny. These is my friends here. They know I'm not sick. I've seen a world of doctors, and I'm still a nigger. Ain't I? No doctor I met has ever cured me of that, has he? And I tried then to tell him, no, it ain't me. See, I wasn't even at the hotel. I was here at the club when the policeman broke into the room, and it was you, Sonny, who put the stuff into my suitcase because you said you couldn't make it to the toilet. So you stashed it all into my suitcase because you thought me being Billie Holiday and all that shit that the damn cops wouldn't do nothing to me. So I said, okay, Sonny, and I got my chauffeur to drive me back to Philly so I could plead guilty. And I was standing there, and all everybody looking, because they ain't never seen no colored woman in a limousine with no damn fur coat on her back. Before the judge takes one look at me and says a year and a day. And so I said to myself, Sonny will know there's one damn bitch in this world that loves him. You know what I want? I want me a beautiful home, some kids. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. That was 1016. Job. All right, we are ready for speaker 134M, performing Silent No More.
Hi, can you see and hear me okay? Awesome. Judge is ready? Perfect. One second. You know, when I first got to Second Mile Camp, I'd never really been to Penn State before. And it was amazing. I mean, all 100 of us from all over the country. Then Jerry Sandusky introduces himself to us. But well, we already knew who he was. I mean, pretty big time coach, founder of Second Mile Camp. He was the boss. You know, if anyone would have told me that my first day at Second Mile Camp would have been the last of my childhood. Well, I would have never believed it. According to the National Center for Victims of Abuse, 1 in every 20 boys experience sexual abuse. Sexual abuse against minors is a growing concern in our modern day society. So, through the narrative of 18-year-old Aaron Fisher, a college student abused by his Penn State football coach, we understand his specific experience with sexual abuse and shine light on those childhoods gone unnoticed. The tragedy is, though, that Aaron's story is only a known one because he attended a Division I university. This is for all the students who have not had the opportunity for their story to be heard. Silent No More by Aaron Fisher. When I first got to Second Mile Camp, I was just 11 and a half years old. Jerry introduced himself to all the groups, but he more personally introduced himself to me. He hung out with my group more than he did all the others. Jerry drove with one hand on the steering wheel and one hand on my thigh. Okay. It creeps me out a little bit, but I figured it was just Jerry's way of showing affection towards me. Plus, we were doing fun things, so I decided to stick along. As camp went on, Jerry started taking me and some of us guys back to his house. Then it was just me. You know, the first time we were alone, Jerry took me back to his place for dinner and then down into his basement for some fun. When we were in his basement, we had a blast. I mean, darts, pool. We had fun. Then I'd go shower, get ready for bed. Then I'd start to hear footsteps come down the stairs. And then Jerry would start to lie on top of me. And I knew it was wrong. And part of me didn't know why I was spending the night there anymore, except for the fact that being in that room with Jerry and the darts and the pool table was fun. You know, I remember when it started. At the time, I was just so young. Victim. You know, I never really liked that word. After the abuse came the nightmares. You know, normally when you have a nightmare, you wake up in a cold sweat, but you realize it wasn't real. Mine were the kind of nightmares you didn't wake up from. They were about the abuse, about the things Jerry was doing to me, and about the things he was making me do to him. And in those nightmares, I saw Jerry. And I'd stare at Coach and at his chin and his mustache. And then our eyes met. And in those eyes, I saw a reflection of myself being back at me. And I knew it was about to happen. And part of me knew it was wrong, but part of me wanted it to happen. And then the coach's hands pressed towards my chest, and in that moment, I saw myself running out of the basement, getting away from Jerry, but he caught me. You know, I've been a track star since 9th grade. But even in my dreams, I couldn't outrun Jerry. Next. The lawyers asked me, how many times did Jerry molest you? And when I couldn't answer the question, it made me sick that they asked in the form of numbers. Was it over 10 times? Was it upwards of 20 times? And finally, I said yes to upwards of 20 times. And they stopped talking, asking, because I guess the general number was good enough. You know, actually, it was over 100 times. But they wouldn't believe me. You know, I mean, I must have said it 100 times. It's my word against Jerry's, and I was sure that they wouldn't believe a kid like me. He broke me. And I am just a kid. And it is so hard for a kid to stand up to an adult. But even though something like this happened to me, I'm moving forward. And you know, that's something I'd like to tell Jerry. I'm moving forward. And I'd like to tell Jerry that I don't feel like a hero. But I do know I save future victims of abuse. And I want to tell Jerry that I'm proud of that. And I want to tell Jerry it's not my fault. It is not my fault because I have plans and I have dreams and I'm going to chase those dreams. And I want to tell Jerry that he might have taken 3 years of my life away from me, but I'll be damned if he robs me of my future because I won't let him. I can't. And I want to tell parents, kids, that it doesn't matter who you are or where you live, but these things, they still happen because there are way too many guys out there like Jerry trying to get into a kid's life. But like I said, I'm moving forward. You know, only 9 of Jerry's victims testified at his trial. None of us had names. I was just the boy they called victim number 1. My name is Aaron Fisher. And I am not a victim. No more.
Thank you. Judges, the time was 10:12. Our next speaker is 143B, performing remedy.
Can all the judges see and hear me okay? Perfect. Ooh, it's recording now. Hello, Wellness Warriors. Kara here. It's been a while, and a lot has happened since our last episode. I've appreciated reading most of the comments you left on earlier videos. Some of you have seen me grow up, and your support has helped sustain me through really lonely times. You may have noticed that this morning we took the Wellness Warrior library of episodes down, or heard about the reasons that our channel has remained dormant. You've asked a lot of questions. Okay. I won't be filming anymore for Wellness Warriors, but I just hope to record one last video to let you all know my story. Throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, reports of child abuse have dropped, according to the CDC. However, medical studies show physical abuse against young people has, in fact, tripled. As schools and offices close down, opportunities for violence open up, revealing a chilling paradox. Stay-at-home orders designed to protect have unintentionally endangered our most vulnerable population: children. Kara, a teenager burdened with a mysterious illness, has been cared for at home solely by her protective mother. In her quest for a cure, Kara comes to confront a sickness more insidious than her own condition, and realizes that exposing a disturbing reality, rather than any pill or plan, might be her only remedy. By Aaron Corrigan. This is just a lot to take in. So, my story. I've been sick my whole life with a chronic illness, unidentified autoimmune syndrome. There are mornings I've woken up feeling like my limbs have been set on fire from the inside, like my veins contained gasoline instead of blood cells. My mom has tracked my symptoms for years. Joint pain, fatigue, muscle depletion. We've seen a lot of doctors. We've sought second, third, fourth opinions. I've been a doctor since I was a baby, stayed in hospitals, switched schools, anything to manage my health. Pills. Ugh. The breathing machine. Ugh. Mama insisted on breathing treatments before bed. I hate the breathing machine. Hate. Even more than Mama's channel. Hello there, friends and fellow wellness warriors. My girl wonder, Kara, has made it through an entire day at school today, despite facing discrimination and harassment from school officials. But you know how it goes with invisible illness. They don't know, and worse yet, they don't care. What do you appreciate most about your children, wellness warriors? Shout out their bravery in the comments. Those videos are no longer considered public web content, but instead evidence. See, Mama refers to our dining room as our own hall of medical records. So one day, I sit down and I begin reading. I start sorting through the pages, trying to organize the documents into a timeline that makes sense. I don't find a lot of actual diagnostic information. I find prescriptions. I find physical forms. One form says my appendix came out 5 years ago. Then I find a form dated 2 years ago. Under previous surgeries, none. I can't believe what I'm reading. I keep trying to fit all the fragments together. It only works as the medical history of a dozen different people. Not one person, not just me. So many lies, to doctors about doctors to other people to me. None of it makes sense. But then that begins to make a different kind of sense. Ever since I could talk, I've been told not to say too much, to let Mama describe my symptoms and explain my absences. She schooled me in the rules of family privacy, HIPAA laws, the allergies and vague diagnoses, the frequent hospitalizations and visits to different doctors, the way that we packed up and moved so often. Mama fits the profile. Munchausen's by proxy. When a parent falsely presents their child as ill or impaired somehow. My mom pretended I was sick for attention. I can't find the words to describe how angry I am. I consider everything I missed out on. A normal childhood, all of my life that's been wasted, all the procedures I've undergone, the scars on my arms, the IV sticks, the exploratory examinations, the medications and their cascade of side effects. I've never had a period. The last night I found paperwork from the year I turned 8 for spinal taps. I remember lying on my side, knees drawn tightly up to my chest, feeling that needle pierce deeply twice. My mother convinced doctors that I needed that. I keep wondering why doctors never reported us. They sure followed up when Mama heard me survey their bills. Our co-pays mattered to them, our deductibles mattered, but no one ever stopped to investigate. No one ever intervened. I just wish I could unknow it. Now she's been arrested and I feel like the worst daughter in the world. I'm okay. Okay. Really, I'm okay. Because someone once told me that the remedy for heart sickness is connection. So I'm gonna log off after this and then focus on connections in real life. My whole life, I have felt tethered. Now, for the first time in a while, I breathe freely.
Thank you. The time was 9 minutes and 54 seconds. And we are ready for our final speaker, 004N, performing The Year of the Nurse.
And can all my judges see and hear me okay? All right. Hi, my name is Cassandra Alexander, and I'm a nurse. And I volunteered for COVID. You see, nurses like me everywhere, we only want to save lives. But I also have this tiny death wish. And when I'm in my ICU, it's this echo that follows me around. And on a really exhausting day, it'll whisper, I wish I was dead. But just because I've always kind of sort of itty bitty, always wanted to die, does not mean that I would like to die right now, in this very moment. But I guess I've always had this little death wish. I mean, my first job after graduation, it was on a burn unit. And then when management was tasked with creating a volunteer corps of nurses who would train to wear Ebola level isolation gear, I volunteered. It was later that I decided to volunteer for COVID. And I mean, I figured that my isolation gear game was pretty good. I had Ebola training. How many people do you know that can say that sentence? Not very many. But I'm no hero. No. I'm just honest. As of today, the CDC has reported that 996,563 people have died from COVID-19 in the United States so far. And nearly 1 in 5 healthcare workers have quit their jobs after feeling angry, exhausted, and demoralized by the pandemic. In her memoir, an ICU nurse shares her struggle during the first year of the pandemic. Through her eyes, we see how hard medical professionals have worked to take care of us and realize that we must also take care of them. Our healthcare system cannot afford to lose invaluable nurses. So thank you to the healthcare workers who are still out there every single day, saving lives. Year of the Nurse by Cassandra Alexander. My nursing career started off in isolation gear, and I have yet to take back my offer to volunteer for COVID because I think that I might just be stupidly stubborn like that. So I have been living in the COVID wing of my ICU for months. Oh, it's okay. I don't have kids or anything. I just have cats. And everything that we do as nurses is in an attempt to heal you. And right now, one of my patients, he is intubated. And he's positive. And he could not have any family members in due to COVID visitation restrictions, but I'm here. And I sat there with him while we FaceTimed 20 people. He wanted everyone to know that he loved them. But I don't even know a single nurse who doesn't even want a different job right now. I mean, even before COVID, the burnout levels in nurses, they were epic. There were what, like roughly 4 million nurses in America in 2020? And only 2.7 million US soldiers fought in the Vietnam War. You cannot send 4 million people into a wartime equivalent situation without there being serious psychological consequences. And yet, that's what America has done. And those soldiers who came back from Vietnam, they were changed forever. But progress and just making progress in America, it can be such a morale booster. You know, I will never forget when we got the email from management that said, the vax is in the house. When I got my shot, it was such a relief. And then my ICU actually went through this 2-week period where we didn't have any COVID patients. It felt like this miracle had just happened, and having that breather, oh, it was so delightful. And it was too good to last. Because right now, the only reason why we are not 100% full in my ICU is because patients are dying. And none of it had to happen. I am tired. I'm tired of feeling sad all of the time. I'm tired of this new normal. I'm tired of the little echo that keeps following me around, saying that I wish I was dead, and I am really tired of death. And I'm not doing well. No, I had gone to the grocery store a few weeks ago, and I saw this woman in the aisle, and she didn't have a mask on. So I offered her one, but she told me that she didn't need it. And I lost my mind, because why aren't you masked, you know? I see people die all of the time. Who do you think watched 600,000 people die in the United States so far? Who do you think took care of them for hours and for days and for weeks and for months? And who do you think held up phones And I had so they could hear your last words and maybe, just maybe, see your face one last time. It was us, and it was the nurses, it was me. What the hell is wrong with you? I don't know how to escape this. I don't know how to escape this. And I am so scared. And I'm very deeply anxious because someday everybody else, they are going to get to go back to normal. And I'm not. Because I do not know who I'm gonna be on the other side of all of this. But I hope that I like her. And I really hope that she is still me. Because she is going to be tougher. And people are going to look at her in the future and they're going to say, wow, you volunteered for COVID. That must have been so hard for you. And she'll say, yes. Because yes, it was. I have spent so long being strong while being scared that now I feel like I'm running out of strength for myself. But I truly believe that the first step in a mental health crisis is admitting it out loud. I have to believe that there will come a time at the end of all of this where COVID is gone. And I have to keep trying. Because nurses like me, everywhere, we only want to save lives. So please, please, stay safe.
Thank you. And that was 9:37. Again, congratulations to all of our performers. Thank you to the judges and the TAB staff that's still in the room. We appreciate everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, performers.
Thank you, guys.